From the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, happy Friday, everybody. Can you believe we're completing our first week of 2022? It is a new year and a new month, which also means a new issue of the Iowa History Journal has come out. They come out every couple of months, and we have Michael Swanger joining us right now. He's the publisher of the Iowa History Journal. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Great. Happy New Year, Lou. Great to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you as well. And one thing we love about the Iowa History Journal is we learn so much about things revolving around the state of Iowa. And this issue is jam-packed full of great information, including the cover story. Tell us about that.
You bet, Lou. Well, when people talk about sports in Iowa, I think they think about all the minor league sports that teams that we've had over the years, and they don't think of us as a professional sports state. But there was one NBA team in Iowa, and it was in Waterloo during the 1949-1950 season, and it remains the only team from the Big Four sports, MLB, NHL, the NFL, and of course the NBA, to have ever played in Iowa. So Tim Harwood from KXEL wrote the book on this subject a couple of years ago, and I thought it would make a great cover story, and here we are. But it was a wonderful story, not only about the only NBA team in Iowa, but how the community rallied around that team to keep it going. Professional basketball had been in place in Waterloo, and as the Waterloo Hawks, and then it transferred into the NBA for that one season. Unfortunately, it was just the 1 year. They didn't play so well. They went 19-43, and then they back to a different league the following year. But the story also involves how wonderful the community was in terms of embracing it, and members of the community up there were able to buy shares of the team for as little as $10. There were ads in the newspaper that they could buy shares for the team to support it, and they had wonderful fan support that season.
Yeah, this reminds me of what they did in Green Bay so many years ago with the football team, but we had this here in Iowa, right?
We did, exactly. And, you know, they played at the Hippodrome, and they drew fairly well. One of the photos we have in the story is them playing on New Year's Eve in 1949 against the Lakers. Yes, the Lakers. Now, they were the Minneapolis Lakers at the time, but a lot of the franchise teams, the marquee teams of the NBA, were coming to Waterloo to play. Boston, New York, all these teams that became teams later on as well, Golden State, etc. They were in Waterloo playing at the Hippodrome against a very talented group of players. And like I said, they had the Hawks had been in a couple leagues before and then afterwards, but that 1 year, that 1949-1950 season was very special for Waterloo.
So we had an NBA team in the state of Iowa for a short period of time, but we had an NBA team in Iowa. That's is right. Great. All right, what else is inside this issue? Of course, this is the January-February issue of the Iowa History Journal.
Well, there's a story that I wrote about the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in Des Moines. It's located on the ground south of the Iowa State Capitol building. And, you know, I think like so many Iowans who have been on the grounds there, you walk by it or you drive by it and you kind of take it for granted what it is. You can't miss it because it stands 135 feet tall on the grounds there, piercing the sky. And what I didn't know until I looked into it and had visited a few times was the interesting backstory about how it came to be and some of the controversy of its design and its location. And long story short, Lou, in 1887, the Grand Army of the Republic in Iowa approached the Iowa General Assembly and said, we need to have a monument commemorating the more than 76,000 Iowans who fought in the American Civil War. They agreed. A year later, they formed a commission via advertising, solicited designs. A woman named Harriet Ketchum in Mount Pleasant won the top award. Unfortunately, she died a year later in 1870 before it was even finalized in terms of being funded. Fast forward, it was finally finished in 1896 with the help of a Danish artist from Chicago named Carl Roll Smith. But it wasn't dedicated until 1945 because of all the controversy of what should be on it, where it should be located. And if you look close, there are the 4 Iowa generals from the Civil War represented in equestrian figures. There are members of the various branches of the military in the Civil War, more than 35 medallions. It's a beautiful piece of art. And with all the conversations about Civil War monuments, there's no discussion or debate about how grand and great this monument is, and I just want to draw people's attention to it because I think every Iowan should know about it.
There you go. So get the story and then go visit the monument, especially if you are here in the Des Moines area. I talked about a backstory, and there really is a backstory in this issue of the Iowa History Journal as well, talking about somebody who was known as Miss Perfect Back of America, and there's ties to the Chiropractic College in the Quad Cities, right?
Absolutely. We all know about the Palmer Chiropractic College that founded that style of treatment, if those are the right words. I know I'm a loyal chiropractic guy. But anyway, Louise Goodwin from Baxter was the winner of the 1933 Miss Perfect Back Award. And it was a way to drum up interest in kind of treatment.
That is awesome. From Baxter, of all places, too. She's from Baxter, Miss Perfect Back of America. Get all these stories and more in the Iowa History Journal. Where can people get a copy of this?
At their local Hy-Vee or Fairway here in Des Moines at Beaverdale Books.
All right, or just jump online, iowahistoryjournal.com. Get signed up so they can send it right to your mailbox. Michael Swager, thank you so much for letting us know what's inside the latest issue, and we'll talk to you next time an issue comes out.
My pleasure. Take care. Thank you, Lou.